In medieval Spain, where Christian and Muslim kingdoms clashed and conspired in equal measure, one man transcended the boundaries of faith, loyalty, and politics. He was exiled by the king he served, employed by the enemies of his religion, and ultimately carved out his own kingdom through sword and strategy. His legend would outlive empires. This is the complete story of Rodrigo Díaz de Vivar, el Cid Campeador, the champion. Rodrigo Díaz was born around 1043 in the small village of Vivar, just north of Burgos, in the heart of Castile. His father, Diego Lainez, was a minor nobleman from the influential Lane Calvo lineage, a family with roots in Castile's warrior aristocracy but without great wealth or land. Young Rodrigo grew up in a world where survival depended on the sword. From childhood, he was trained in horsemanship, combat, and the codes of nobility. But unlike many noble sons, Rodrigo had to earn everything: his reputation, his lands, his legacy. His early education likely included not just martial skills but also the complex politics of a fractured Spain, where alliances shifted like sand and today's ally could be tomorrow's enemy. Rodrigo entered the service of Prince Sancho, eldest son of King Ferdinand I of Castile. This was his first step into the royal court and onto the battlefield. When King Ferdinand died in 1065, he divided his kingdom among his three sons. Sancho received Castile, Alfonso received Leon, and Garcia received Galicia. This division planted the seeds of civil war. The War of Three Sanchos, 1067. Rodrigo fought alongside Prince Sancho in the Battle of Lantada against the combined forces of Aragon. According to chronicle tradition, Rodrigo defeated the Aragonese champion Jimeno Garces in single combat, a feat that elevated his status from soldier to hero. It was around this time that Muslim allies began calling him El Cid, from the Arabic Al-Sayyid, the Lord, while Christians called him El Campeador, the champion. Both titles reflected the same truth: Rodrigo Díaz was a force to be reckoned with. Under King Sancho II, Rodrigo became alferez, the royal standard-bearer and chief military commander. He led campaigns to reunite his father's fractured kingdom. Sancho waged war against his own brothers. He defeated Alfonso and seized Leon in 1072. He pursued Garcia and took Galicia. For a brief moment, it seemed Sancho would restore Ferdinand's empire. Rodrigo was his sword arm, his enforcer, his most loyal knight. But in October 1072, during the siege of Zamora, a city loyal to Sancho's sister Urraca, the king was assassinated. Stabbed by a man named Belito Dolfos, who may have been sent by Alfonso or Urraca herself. The Oath of Santa Gadea. When Alfonso VI ascended to the throne, Rodrigo reportedly made him swear publicly, in the church of Santa Gadea in Burgos, that he had no part in his brother's murder. Alfonso swore the oath, but the humiliation was never forgotten. This act of loyalty to Sancho's memory became the first crack in Rodrigo's relationship with the new king. Despite the tension, Alfonso initially kept Rodrigo close. In 1074, the king arranged Rodrigo's marriage to Jimena Díaz, a noblewoman of royal blood and cousin to Alfonso himself. This was both an honor and a political binding. Rodrigo and Jimena had 3 children: Diego Rodríguez, his only son, and heir Cristina Rodríguez Maria Rodríguez. Rodrigo continued to serve Alfonso, leading campaigns and collecting tributes from Muslim Taifa kingdoms, small, fragmented states that paid Christian kings for protection. But Rodrigo's growing independence and military success began to alarm Alfonso. In 1079, Rodrigo led an unauthorized raid into Toledo, a Muslim kingdom under Castilian protection, embarrassing the king diplomatically. Then in 1081, Rodrigo was accused of pocketing tribute money meant for the crown. Whether the charges were true or fabricated, Alfonso used them as justification. Rodrigo Díaz was exiled. Stripped of lands, titles, and royal favor, Rodrigo gathered a band of loyal followers, around 300 knights and soldiers who chose exile with him over service to Alfonso. He crossed into Al-Andalus and offered his sword to Al-Muqtadir, the Muslim ruler of Zaragoza. In the fractured world of medieval Iberia, this was not seen as betrayal but as survival. Loyalty was to lords and contracts, not religions or nations. For nearly a decade, Al-Cid fought for Zaragoza against Christian forces from Aragon and Barcelona, rival Muslim kingdoms, even armies sent by Alfonso VI himself. In 1082, at the Battle of Almenar, Rodrigo defeated a combined force led by the Count of Barcelona and the King of Aragon, capturing the Count and holding him for ransom. His reputation as an undefeated commander grew on both sides of the religious divide. El Cid was no longer just a knight. He was a warlord. In 1086, a new threat emerged. The Almoravids, a fundamentalist Berber empire from North Africa, invaded Iberia at the request of the Taifa kings who feared Christian conquest. At the Battle of Sagrajas, Alfonso VI suffered a catastrophic defeat. Desperate, he recalled Cid from exile. Rodrigo returned and led Castilian forces with renewed purpose. But the reconciliation was fragile. By 1089, after disputes over military strategy and mistrust, Alfonso exiled Rodrigo a second time. This exile was final. Rodrigo would never again serve the King of Castile. Worse still, in 1097 Rodrigo's only son Diego Rodriguez was killed fighting the Almoravids at the Battle of Consuegra. The loss devastated Cid, but he did not break. Without a kingdom to serve, Rodrigo decided to build his own. He set his sights on Valencia, one of the richest and most strategic cities in eastern Iberia. For years he waged a careful campaign, forming alliances with local Muslim leaders, defeating rival Christian lords besieging the city and cutting off supplies. In June 1094, after a brutal siege, Valencia surrendered. Rodrigo Díaz became Lord of Valencia, ruling as an independent prince over a multicultural population of Muslims, Christians, and Jews. He minted his own coins, dispensed justice, collected taxes, and commanded armies. His rule was pragmatic, not ideological. Muslims were allowed to practice their faith. Christian settlers were encouraged to repopulate the city. Jewish merchants continued trade under his protection. But Cid also ruled with an iron fist. When the city's Qadi, Islamic judge, was accused of plotting against him, Rodrigo had him burned alive, a reminder that his authority was absolute. Cid's greatest military achievements came in defense of Valencia. The Almoravid Empire, led by Yusuf ibn Tashfin, saw Valencia as a symbol of resistance and sent multiple armies to retake the city. In 1094 at the Battle of Cuarte, Rodrigo crushed an Almoravid force, killing their general and scattering the army. In 1097 at the Battle of Byron, he defeated another massive Almoravid invasion, despite being outnumbered. Chroniclers claimed he used brilliant tactics, including feigned retreats and surprise cavalry charges, to annihilate his enemies. For 5 years, Cid held Valencia against the most powerful empire in the western Mediterranean. In July 1099, Rodrigo Díaz de Vivar died in Valencia. The exact cause is unknown, possibly illness, possibly wounds from battle. He was around 56 years old. His death left Valencia vulnerable. His wife, Jimena Díaz, assumed control, but the Almoravids soon returned in force. According to the Historia Roderici and later legends, when the final siege came, Jimena ordered Cid's body to be embalmed, dressed in full armor, and mounted on his warhorse Babieca. His corpse, sword in hand, was paraded before the walls, and the Almoravid forces, believing he still lived, retreated in terror. Whether true or embellished, the story became immortal. Jimena held the city for 3 more years before abandoning it in 1102. She took Rodrigo's body with her and buried him at the monastery of San Pedro de Cardena, near Burgos. Babieca was never ridden again and was buried with honor. Cid's life did not end with his death. Transformed into legend. Literary immortality. Around 1140 the Canta de Mio Cid, the poem of the Cid, was composed, Spain's greatest medieval epic. It blended historical fact with mythic grandeur, portraying Rodrigo as the ideal knight, loyal, brave, and honorable. Cultural symbol. Over centuries, Cid became a national hero. A symbol of Christian reconquista, a model of chivalry and honor, a unifying figure during Spain's imperial age. But the real Rodrigo was far more complex. He fought for Muslim rulers as often as Christian kings, he prioritized personal gain and family legacy over religious ideology. He was ruthless, calculating, and often self-serving. Yet this complexity is what makes him fascinating. Cid was not a saint or a fanatic. He was a medieval warlord who navigated a fractured world with skill, ambition, and adaptability. Modern reappraisals. Historians today see Cid as a product of convivencia, coexistence. The unique medieval Spanish culture where Christians, Muslims, and Jews interacted daily, a mercenary capitalist in an age of feudal loyalty, a bridge between myth and man. He was born a minor noble and died a king in all but name. He served lords and betrayed none who paid him fairly. He fought for Christians and Muslims alike, respected by both. He lost a son, conquered a city, and became a legend. This was Rodrigo Díaz de Vivar, Cid Campeador. Not a perfect hero. Not a simple villain. But a man who seized his destiny in a world that gave him nothing. History is written by the victorious. But legends are made by those who refuse to be forgotten. El Cid did both.